So I'll probably jump around a little bit because I have to keep you all awake. It is mid-afternoon and you probably just ate lunch. Plus we're in personal training, so we bring the energy, right? We got to bring the energy. So before I get started with my slides, I want to learn a little more about who's in the audience today, because I definitely want to cater my discussion toward your needs. So if you are not personal training, but you're interested at this point in time and you're here to learn more, raise your hand. Beautiful. And how about those of you who are currently personal training, maybe along with other gigs as well? Beautiful. And how many of you are owners or managers of personal training? Perfect. Good. Well, I planned a little something for everyone, but now knowing that we have less on the uncertified side, I can kind of cater my content. So today, really, I wanted to talk about what are the opportunities in personal training. We're going to discuss a lot of the healthcare reform and how that's really just exploding what we do as trainers and helping with prevention. We also are going to talk about what is the education and certifications that employers are looking for out in the field. So if you are trying to get a job in a studio or in a health club, what are they looking for and where is the future going with that? We're going to take a look at those certifications, and then I want to talk to you about how to be successful in this industry, because the sad news is that unfortunately 1 in 5 personal trainers does not make it 1 year in a commercial club. In our business at Wellbridge, 3 out of 5, which is better, right? But wouldn't 5 out of 5 be great, especially because we need all these professionals to really help the obesity epidemic in America and really affect wellness. So it's important that we get our trainers started off to a really great start in our clubs. I'm going to share some of what we do for that. And then again, explore the career growth and opportunity. So before, I told you about how many people are failing in this industry, and I think a big part of the reason that trainers are not successful in their first year is, one, their expectations aren't accurate of what's out there and what are the opportunities and what does this career really look like. And 2, I think that they may not be in the right setting for what their skill set is or what their passion is. So we're going to explore some of the different areas where you could work as a personal trainer and take a look at those and make sure that, that we're getting trainers in the right place. All right, so clinical settings. So in clinical settings, you might be working directly with a physical therapist, directly in a hospital, and you're executing program design. Typically, these personal trainers are more of a salary-based position. If you're looking for a 9-to-5er job, this might be a good place for you to go. These positions don't come about as often, but they definitely are growing as we look at healthcare reform, and hospitals are opening clinics on site where they're employing personal trainers. We live next to Anschutz Medical Center, and we've been looking at the medical wellness clinic that they have on campus. They employ personal trainers who work directly with the dietitians and the doctors, and those personal trainers are executing programs. So that's a great place to go if you're interested in more of the structured 9-to-5. Because in commercial settings, that does not exist. When I started in La Jolla as a personal trainer, I opened the club at 4 a.m. I'd work straight till 1 p.m. I'd go fall asleep on the beach and come back for night clients. I worked every Saturday and most Sundays for my first 3 years as a personal trainer. But I was highly successful, and it led to future opportunities. So everything you keep hearing from the presenter says initially it's hard work, and you have to work when other people don't as a personal trainer most times. So commercial settings in here, I lump studios, I lump big box like ours, I lump country club, I lump privately owned. This is where we're coming to get fitness in a commercial environment. So this is a big opportunity. Typically, a commercial club would employ anywhere from 5 to 45 personal trainers, depending on the size of the facility. Most of ours, again, depending on the size, we would employ an average of about 25 personal trainers. And so I'll talk more about our setup as I go through, but we can learn from these other models as well. Corporate fitness will be one of the fastest growing segments of personal training in the next decade with the changes that are coming in Affordable Care Act. So corporations, a corporate fitness trainer may be employed by the corporation. They may have an on-site fitness center. When I was with Club One, we had a lot of corporate agreements where our trainers would be on-site at eBay, for example. They still have that contract. And our personal training manager with a whole crew of personal trainers works at eBay. And you work with the employees, you execute their wellness program. So that's one model for corporate fitness. Or you might be a trainer who just is independent and you go on site and perform services for that corporation. So there's a lot of different ways that corporate fitness is evolving, and this, I think, as I said, will be one of the fastest growing segments of personal training in the next decade. Collegiate. So I talked to a couple of strength and conditioning coaches, and as I shared, I had worked with athletes as well. But don't forget, there's also the side of the campus where they have the staff and they have the students. And there are also a whole staff of personal trainers in that facility and helping to execute programs and help people get fit and the rest of campus. So you may be in a collegiate environment and get a lot of the same benefits that the rest of the faculty does by being an employee there. Oftentimes, I've seen both models where these employees are commission-based, like we do in commercial clubs, but sometimes they may have a salary or an hourly rate for you to work at when you're getting started. Community-based fitness. So how many of you have heard of Stroller Strides? Yeah. Stroller Strides was a company I had worked with. It's where we would meet with our moms and babies in the stroller in a park, in a museum, in a mall. I taught at SeaWorld. It was the best job ever with my babies in the stroller. So community fitness, we saw that segment of personal training grow really rapidly. Typically, this is your small groups, large group type setting. We saw a lot of boot camps pop up in parks, and we saw those coming, a really just big area of personal training that grew. In this segment of personal training, there's a lot of permits required. So you have to do your due diligence to make sure that you can use the space, that you're insured. So that is a really great option. And if you like to be outside and you live in an environment where that's practical, then definitely it's a great choice. And then in-home training. So how many of you have done in-home training? Yes. I did as well. You can go to the client's house. They can come to you. Upside, you can charge a lot more per hour. Downside, you have the travel time between the client's home and the next client and the next client. So it's definitely still a booming area in personal training. A lot of trainers who work in that business model are charging for their travel time in between. So I had an hourly rate, and I would just drive, and that was my rate. However long it took me to get to your house, my meter started the minute I left my house. So I really encourage and advise trainers to think really smartly about your rate so you're not spending a lot of time on the road in that model. But very rewarding to work with a client in their home or at your own home. All right, so I talked about that you have to work when other people don't. But I think it's important when you're thinking about a career in personal training that you start thinking about what you really want from your job. So the first thing, I talk to potential trainers all the time. I get calls from high school students. I get calls from people who are interested in getting a certification and they want to know what to do. And the first thing I ask them is, have you thought about being employee or independent? Because there's a lot of benefits either way. And in personal training, you could pretty much choose if you want to have an independent business or if you want to be an employee of a larger corporation. And so they both have their advantages and disadvantages. As an employee, you should expect your employer to pay for your insurance, to pay for your some continuing education reimbursement. We do a reimbursement for our trainers who get certified. Typically, you'd wear a uniform. They'd be paying for that. They would provide you all the documentation and all the systems and procedures that you would use on your job. As an independent contractor, you're paying your own taxes. You are paying your own marketing expenses. You are paying for your own uniforms and a lot of those forms and documentation that I had talked about. You're also paying for your own continuing education. So again, while each has their advantages and disadvantages, it's important to explore both of those as you're considering a career as a personal trainer. So one of the things I think when we see the 1 out of 5 trainers make it in a year's time, one of the expectations that trainers have is that it's going to be very, very flexible and they can work on their own terms. And while that may be true in some environments, it's definitely not all. So I get a lot of personal trainers who want to work in our clubs and they want to work a couple mornings in the week and they never want to work weekends, of course. And I say, well, that doesn't work in our business model. It's definitely possible in some facilities. So we employ career trainers. We want full-time trainers who, they won't be full-time the day they start, but they're building toward full-time, and they are definitely in the club and visible and generating leads and doing the due diligence to build their business. A lot of trainers need stability, and so stability means something different for everyone, but when we talk about really wanting a lifestyle that is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, then you should look for a facility, thank you, where you can find that, because that's definitely one of the reasons that trainers set themselves up to fail from the beginning. A lot of facilities will employ part-time trainers. So we were talking about supplementing another position or a career. A lot of you might be strength coaches and you're looking for taking some clients at night. So a lot of clubs will employ it that way, and you can work very part-time and you can work with them and have very flexible hours. And keep in mind that big box clubs such as ours, we're open 7 days a week, pretty much all hours of the day. So you can customize your own schedule within those hours and carve out the lifestyle that you want. I'd like to highlight one of my trainers in Colorado he's been with us 10 years, and he started with just a certification and a degree, much like many trainers do. And he's created a life for himself that works for him and his family. He works 4 days a week, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So long hours and hard, 4 days a week. The other 3 days a week, he's a dad. He's with his kids full time. He has full-time benefits with us. He has all his health insurance, 401k. He also has paid time off. He took his kids to Disneyland, and we paid for the whole week for him to be gone. And he makes over $90,000 a year, 4 days a week. So I highlight his example. He worked very hard to get to that point, but that's what you can create for yourself with the flexible hours and still choosing full time. On the other hand, we have people who come and struggle to get their business off the ground and may have just a few clients in a few months' time. And so that's why we've instituted some of our business building tools. So we talked about vacation and benefits briefly there. A lot of clubs now, the bigger clubs or companies are able to offer these to their employees. It's something we're really proud of. But I know even when I was in smaller clubs and when we owned our own yoga studio, we couldn't really provide those benefits to all of our employees, but we could give them opportunities to earn a stipend that they could use toward their health plan. So those are some of the things that trainers are looking for, and it used to be non-existent that a trainer could have paid time off and full-time benefits, and now all of those are an option for personal trainers. So definitely in the corporate environment as well, that's pretty standard that you would have a full package. And compensation, the question I'm asked about most commonly. Most personal trainers in the industry right now in a club where they're taking a cut are making between $15 to $50 an hour. And if you're working on your own, obviously it's all yours, so whatever you charge per hour, but then keep in mind you have taxes and other responsibilities. The top trainer in my company is making over $150,000 a year, and then we have the ones who really struggle and make less than $1,000 a month. So it really depends what you put into it, but there's great money in personal training, and so that's my point in sharing that, is that if you work hard, the money's there, and you absolutely are changing lives at the same time. So what kind of clients do you want to work with? It's important to think this through when you're choosing a career in personal training. I always hire trainers who can see a client A through Z. So we're in clubs where anybody could walk in the door. I could have a 92-year-old person who's a first-time exerciser, or I could have someone who's been referred from their physician and they need some corrective exercise. We see everybody every day. So you have to be prepared to work for client A through Z, as I call it. But at the same time, I want trainers to be living out their passion. And so that means that you're finding the clients that you get jazzed to work with, and you try to fill your books with those the most. So then you can have a long-time career and really be excited about who you're working with and not start to get burned out over time. A lot of trainers, I don't have it in a slide, but we become psychologists. I think everyone who's training knows that that's an important skill set. And we give a lot to our clients every day. So there's the whole psycho-emotional aspect of what we do. But when you work with the people that you're most passionate about, it fills you up. It doesn't drain you out. It fills you up every day when you walk away from those clients. So work with clients A through Z, but fill your books with the ones that you love working with, whether it's kids or if it's the corrective exercise or whatever it is you like to do. We do work with all ages. So personal trainers, we even work with maybe some infants who are working with an occupational therapist and they have a personal trainer execute the program. We work with a lot of our senior clients to help them to build their muscle mass and keep their posture. So we definitely work with all ages. And now we are doing a lot more small group training. So it is here to stay. I've heard that a couple times this week already. And in our model, we've encouraged every personal trainer in our business to have at least one small group training class going at all times. The beautiful thing about it is it feeds your business. So if I have a small group training class going, it might be adding a day of exercise for some of my other clients that I see on a one-on-one basis. And it also is going to attract people into your one-on-one business. So we've seen it, it was 8% of our business last year. This year it will be 12% of our business. It's going to keep growing and growing and growing. And the beautiful thing about small groups is that we're attracting people who otherwise couldn't afford private training. Our private training is $50 to $120 an hour. Small group training is $20 to $35 an hour. So we're definitely getting more people in front of trainers who thereby get better results, stay at the club a lot longer, and they're happier members who refer other members. We talked about the community-based fitness, and that is really just small group training or larger groups. So small group training in that model is a personal trainer working with about 10 to 15 people. That's what we like to see in our club. Anything beyond 15, we like to bring in a second instructor just to make sure that we're giving really good coaching. What makes a good personal trainer? This came up in the last presentation if you were sitting in, and Michael was talking about the balance of what do we look for between the degree and the academics, the certification, and the practical experience. Well, I like all of the above, and I can't say that I could lean more one to the other. It really varies by the person. However, I'm going to go over each of these and just let you know what we as employers are looking for. And if you are an employer, then I have some challenges here for you as well to help us raise the bar as an industry. So these are some of the degrees that you could obtain, and these were detailed earlier, but you can see that a trade school would be an example, like National Personal Training Institute. We have one in Denver. Those are around the country. Those are like an 18-month program, very part-time. You learn the specifics of being a personal trainer. And then associate's degree, that's science-based. You can move on to your bachelor's, master's, and doctoral. And then these are some of the variety of programs that exist in the U.S. You know, when I was coming through college, it was really physical education, athletic training were my only choices. So I did them both. But then we broadened, and now we have kinesiology, exercise science, and a lot of really, really well-thought curriculum for trainers. I always tell my trainers to take business classes, because whatever you do in life, whether you're a trainer at a club or you're running your own business, you need those skills as well. So any business classes that you can throw in or add to your resume are absolutely encouraged. Now, in our organization and in most of the bigger organizations, your pay will increase based on the degree that you hold. So we have 5 levels of trainer, and if you have a master's degree, you come in at level 3. If you have, bachelor's level 3 and master's level 4, PhD level 5. So it just kind of helps you to get higher on the pay scale right away, faster than certifications would. And a lot of organizations do that. Club One did it when I was there. I know that Lifetime has a similar model where they scale you based on your credentials. Certifications. So over the last 20 years, this industry is only 25 years old, by the way, personal training. 25, we're so young. These are just a very, very small sample of the certifications that exist. There are thousands of online and in-person certifications for personal trainers. It's confusing, and people don't know where to turn or where to go. So we used to have, we would call them the big 5 when we were talking to trainers, and then we would direct personal trainers to organizations like NSCA and some of the more reputable certifying orgs. Now we have NCCA accreditation, which I'll elaborate on in a minute. And that narrows this field to just 13 organizations. And you can see NSCA is one of the early adopters. They were in there nice and early. So now as an employer, we just changed in April this year. If you want to work with our company, you have to possess a certification from one of these organizations who has had their program accredited. What is NCCA accreditation? So this is a third party that looks at the exam that's administered. It looks at all the subject matter. It makes sure that what they're testing for is tested accurately. It makes sure that the organization has the support for people who want to choose this career and that they have viable options to gain experience and move forward in the career. It also is typically, in almost all cases, there's 2 that you can do online with a video proctor, but the majority are in a testing center. So it guarantees that the person who is supposed to be taking the test is actually taking the test, so that's good. And so as employers, we said, you know what, we're not experts in certification like NSCA is. We're going to go to the third party and say, you know what, who has paid the money and gone through the due diligence to make sure that they are accredited? And so those 13 organizations that you saw on this slide have done that process. So challenge for employers. I sit on a couple of boards in the industry, and all of us are trying to help our industry raise the bar by getting to this accreditation, getting our trainers in the registry so that we can be ready for healthcare reform and the opportunities that that brings for us. So the other thing I wanted to point out about NCCA accreditation is that other industries have gone through this process in the past couple of decades. Registered nurses, for example, registered dietitians, physical therapy, athletic trainers, all of those professions have gone through this same process, and we are now going through this process. So again, I challenge you as employers, make this your standard and make your trainers go through these organizations so we can hold a level and a standard of excellence. Just in February, they released a registry. So now, as an employer or as a trainer, if you hold an NCCA accredited certification, your name will show up on this registry. It's an online site, and if you expire and let yourself lapse, you immediately disappear. So as an employer, you don't have to call NSCA and say, is Amy Thompson certified with you? Instead, you can go to the registry. You can very easily see that that person is current and they are certified. So this is a great move in the industry, and it's definitely something that we all benefit from. Experience. So the last presenter weighed this more heavily. I say experience is phenomenal, and absolutely trainers gain a lot of experience over their years personal training. I kind of took this in the direction of looking for an internship, so directing it to people who are new to the industry. Definitely, I encourage people to participate in internships. You get to audition, you get to test drive the facility and see if it's the right culture for you, if it's the right staff, if it's the right environment. We ran a lot of successful internships both in California and now in Colorado and in our other states. And we follow a curriculum, whether it's from the university or whether it's that, I know a lot of the certifying orgs will send us their graduates now, and ask that we give them the practical experience. So we are definitely accepting interns and helping them to gain the practical hours that they need. And we help them learn the whole club. We don't just teach them the personal training aspect of the business, but we put them at the front desk. We put them in the Pilates room. We put them in different areas of the club because we want them to learn the entire business, and we want them to work on their weaknesses as well as their strengths. Not all personal trainers like being in front of groups, so when we talk about growing small group, there's definitely personal trainers who are so much better in the one-on-one, but we help them, and it doesn't mean they have to completely change their business and take over small group training, but we want them to be comfortable teaching in front of a few people, and vice versa. For my group fitness people who get personal trainers certified, we want them to be really comfortable in the one-on-one and to be able to stay focused and engaged on their client. So experience is definitely important. And when I look at this pie chart, obviously you don't ever get a trainer that has it in 3 equal parts. They come to you with a variety of resumes. So we love to get our college graduates. We require the NCCA certification for every person who's employed with us. And experience helps you move up on the levels of trainer as well. So all 3 are weighing into how you rank as a trainer in our organization. And also in many organizations, I've seen their charts as well. So just one slide on interviewing, because I know a lot of us have been interviewing personal trainers for a while. So 3 tips to help you get that next job or the first job in personal training. My first one is to be prepared. Research, find out everything you can about that organization. What are the expectations? Go buy a day pass and go to the club before your interview and experience the club so you have the right questions and you can ask about that studio or that clinic where you might be working. So get in there and research and learn about it. And your presentation, come with a business plan. Again, let's raise the bar in this industry. Instead of coming in your shorts and your tennis shoes and talking about, I'm looking for a nice job that I can do on Saturday morning, Come in a suit, be professional, treat this as your career, have a business plan, talk about your 3-month goals, your 6-month goals, your 1-year goals. Employers are looking for those individuals that really have a business plan for themselves. The irony in our field is that we set goals for our clients and write fitness plans for them every single day. But if I ask this room, how many of you have a business plan? Anyone have a business plan? Couple, good. Good, more. Okay, well, you're at a conference. You're the exception. But most personal trainers don't have a plan. They don't have a business plan for themselves. They don't have a career plan, and they write plans for their clients every single day. So I challenge my trainers to write a business plan, and that's part of how we help them get going more quickly. So I want to share with you from our most successful trainers and those in the field, what are the characteristics and what are the things that they are doing to have really long careers in the industry. I have a trainer in Colorado who's been with us 28 years. She's trained the same client 28 years. It's remarkable. So I asked her, what are the secrets? What are the things that I can teach other trainers to help them have a long career in personal training? First, the obvious. We have to keep learning. You are always a student. You are always coming to conferences, taking certifications, learning from books. We have a TRX sports medicine certification in New Mexico and Colorado this weekend. We're constantly bringing in education for our trainers and challenging them to go find and seek out things that they're interested in to raise their level of knowledge. Successful trainers are leaders. They lead among their peers, but they also have to be able to lead to influence their clients. So just like a group fitness instructor can get on a stage and lead a group of 50 people, a personal trainer has to have that level of influence with the 1 person or the 10 people that they see. So leadership and influence is absolutely a key trait for our successful trainers. This is my favorite, self-management. So self-management to me means this is all the intangibles, right? You're on time, you're in your uniform, you're well-groomed. All of those things fall into this category, but that you're really, again, representing our profession because we all represent one another. You don't just represent yourself. You represent the person sitting next to you. We represent each other as an industry, so self-management is also very important. And here's where we talk about the business skills. So I'll elaborate a little bit here about how we're helping our trainers to be successful. So I've been with Wellbridge 3 years, and we identified early on that we were losing too many trainers. We keep 3 out of 5 for a year, like I said. And so I got together with my team, and we all figured out, well, what are the things we need to teach the trainers? Because whether they come to us from an academic setting or certification, a lot of them lack business knowledge and business skills. They know training, they might have passion, they might have experience, but they don't have the business skills. So we laid out a business building system that we implement in their first week with us, and it's a 6-month tracking system where they're held to minimum standards, but we teach them how to do that. So if they're not comfortable doing a small group demo, we teach them how to do that. If they're not comfortable with a BOSU, we teach them. We work on the fundamentals and we take a look at their business, find where they need help, and we give them the dedicated time with their manager so they can do that. We rank our trainers in a red, yellow, green system. Green means you're good to go. We're just going to keep inspiring you and helping you to grow your business. And red means you need the extra coaching. You're either new or your business hasn't taken off yet. So you're getting an hour a week minimum with your manager in one-on-one business training and focused time, where they go over their metrics and they look at their close rate and they look at all the things that they're doing in the club, all the activities that are available to see how they can be more effective in those. So it's helping. We now are keeping 4 out of 5 in a year's time, and we're really proud of that, but we want to, again, keep 5 out of 5. So that comes with hiring, too, and picking the right people to begin with. But we always teach the business skills, and that's the one thing that, again, our trainers aren't coming to us with. We have to be teaching that in the clubs and really helping them understand what it takes to be successful and how to treat this as a career. Ethics and integrity, of course, very, very important. We want people who will treat our clients with honesty and respect in any setting you're in. If you're an in-home trainer, it's so important that you keep accurate books, that you keep accurate signatures, that, again, that you're ethical and that you always give the client the benefit of the doubt and make sure that you have your books in a really good system. Communication, we see this a lot with personal trainers. who use a lot of slang, and they use a lot of maybe cuss words with their clients when they get comfortable. So again, this is something where the best trainers aren't doing that. The best trainers are using very professional language at all times, whether it's text, email, in person, any way that they're communicating with their clients. We have to raise the bar and make sure that our trainers are using the best communication skills possible. They have to be an example, meaning that they are living their own personal fitness, that they are doing their own workouts, that they have their own fitness program, and they're eating healthy, and they're leading by example. So the best personal trainers are doing this, and I don't mean you have to have rock hard abs and be chiseled, because most of our successful trainers, that's not their body type. It means that you are healthy and you live a well-balanced lifestyle, and everything you ask your clients to do, you're doing the same for yourself. Passion. So we all get into this business typically because we love helping people and we love affecting change. We love helping people get results. But when trainers are in this field for a while, they can get stale and they can start to lose their passion. So I talked about our green trainers. Some of the things we do with green trainers to help evoke their passion is we sit with them and talk about their career goals. We look at their business plan, and oftentimes their career path will take them away from us. It probably will. They'll grow out of the club at some point. When I was at the sporting club in La Jolla, I had a staff of 15 personal trainers. 7 of them went on to do amazing, remarkable things, like George Maurer wrote 8 Minutes in the Morning. Kita Pelli, the ab energizer. That wasn't really amazing. That one got sued. But it was cool that she went on and did that. We have John Gary, the face of Stop Pilates. All these trainers went on to do really, really big things. And it wasn't necessarily anything special that we did, except we created a team and we fed their passion. And we talked to them about the next steps and the next steps and how are you going to give back to the industry and what are the next goals for you in your career. So I encourage you to keep that passion alive with your trainers by having regular meetings and talking about maybe they want to write a book, maybe they want to just move on to something where they can move out of this career, or maybe they want to affect obesity and they want to get out and do more community fitness. So we definitely want to evoke that passion. The most successful trainers are always positive. That kind of has to go unsaid. They have to be positive. There's nothing worse than a negative trainer who is constantly like whining with their clients about blah, 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 blah. You need to listen and you need to smile and you need to let them talk and then you need to put a positive spin on it and let's get back to work. But a trainer has to leave their baggage at the door and they've got to come in and be positive every single day. And purpose. So this is where I lump in, be prepared. Come to work each day with purpose. You know what your client's workout is going to be. It's prepared. It's not something that you think of last minute and maybe I'll use that and maybe I'll use that. But you're prepared for your client because they're on a program and you have a purpose for that client and you have a purpose for your career. So maybe I don't have 8 back-to-back clients in a day, but maybe I have to go find my clients. So that day when I come to work, I need to have a purpose that I'm going to be doing some assessments and I'm going to be meeting some new members and I'm going to go to this social event at night. Well, guess what? Those are 3 business building activities that are going to bring purpose to your business so you can earn clients. So most successful trainers, there's the top 10 traits that we find in our organization and in others of the most successful. So I'm going to move a little quickly through this slide. So some of our trainers wanted to go on and do other things. What are those career opportunities? Well, the most obvious step is management. So if you're a good trainer, you should be a good manager, right? No? Yes? We see of those we promote, probably 2 and 3 turn out to be good managers, but they need a lot of coaching because being a manager is very different skill set. It's administrative, but it's also being able to inspire others to act and not just your client. So we do have a fostering program. A lot of clubs will have a program where they're grooming people to be future managers in the organization. You saw my career path took me to a fitness manager and then general manager, which was a whole new skill set because then you learn operations and HVAC and all kinds of contract negotiation. So management can mean a lot of different things, but that's a path that's pretty common that trainers might follow. Instructor training, so that's examples of coming to present, influencing the field by, again, elevating the education and the standard of other instructors. You can do that in your own facility. You can do that in your own community. You can do it at national or international conventions. In fact, many of my peers do it full time. They travel around and they further the education of the industry. So that's a great career that a lot of people aspire to as well. You could consult clubs, meaning go in and help them with their business and really take a look at a specific aspect of the business and help them grow that through a retainer or some kind of consulting fee. So you have a consulting firm and you don't belong to any organization, you float around and do consulting. So that's a common career path. And you can be an owner. I think a lot of personal trainers aspire to be owners of their own studio until they realize all the different hats they have to wear. And for some, they're prepared and they're definitely ready. And for others, it's a big eye-opener of all they don't get to be hands-on anymore. Now they're taking care of a lot of other things. So we see people go on and be very successful business owners. We see a lot that fail and come back to us and say, I really just want to train and I appreciate being an employee. But some go on to be very successful owners. So that's a great opportunity. Research that goes unsaid, that's another opportunity in the industry. And you see a lot of our vendors here. A lot of our vendor support, well, they used to be personal trainers. That's how they got their start in the business. And now they can effectively sell us equipment because they know how to use it and they can teach us. So that's a very viable opportunity, is to go into retail or go into becoming a vendor and sharing expertise with our, within the trade show. And then technology. So I do not believe that personal trainers will be replaced with technology. I believe that technology is going to help us to provide the evidence-based information that we need. And so there are a lot of great things emerging in the market, and it's up to us to say, is it good, is it bad, does it have a place in my business? But trainers won't be replaced by those. We definitely just need to begin using them to see how we can further what we give to our clients. So I just shared this slide so you can see this is from the Institute of Medicine. And these are the initiatives that they are working on to help affect the growth of obesity. So right now in this nation, 2/3 of adults are obese or overweight. 1/3 of our kids are obese or overweight. Personal training is needed more than ever before. We are needed in a one-on-one setting. We are needed in communities. We are needed in every aspect of this nation. So every one of these objectives could be executed by a qualified and a reputable personal trainer or physical PE teacher, but we need more people out in the community, and we have to help our trainers to be successful and stay in this field so we can affect obesity and move it down. When you look at healthcare reform, I'm really passionate about this topic, and I see a lot of positive things coming from it. So maybe I'm a little, maybe overly optimistic, but then again, I'm a personal trainer. But what we've been researching and what we think it will bring is, first, we're going to be reaching more of the inactive, because more than ever before, people are financially, personally responsible for their own health. So they're going to be more willing and more active in their own health plan, and we're moving more toward prevention in the healthcare reform than we ever have. So that's exciting. Wellness is going to be defined. Right now, wellness isn't defined, and everybody wants a space in wellness. A lot of the medical profession wants to own wellness. The physical therapists want to own wellness. Well, first we have to define wellness as a nation, but then wouldn't you think that fitness and personal trainers and strength coaches, don't you think we have a stake in that game? Well, right now, we're not really respected in high regard by the medical community because of our thousands of certifications and the lack of standardization that we have. So to prepare us for offering really strong wellness programs that can get referrals from physicians that can reach the inactive, we have to, again, raise the bar with our standardization and be prepared. Right now, the Atlantic Club in New Jersey is running an ACSM-based diabetes program that's very successful. There's a lot of heart-healthy programs going on. And then I referenced Anschutz. They're running a really phenomenal weight loss program. They were just featured in a TV reality show, but they're doing it from a clinical base, and they have a great program that we're hoping to adopt and bring into our clubs so we can start getting the medical community to take awareness of what we're doing and give us their referrals. We talked earlier about the corporate solutions. So with healthcare reform now, corporations are going to be required to provide a wellness program. So that means more opportunities for us to get in and provide these services for corporations. Now, it might still mean it's just a membership, but we're hoping that it takes shape in a lot of different ways, where we have evidence-based research that shows employees losing weight over time. It shows their blood pressure improving. It shows that corrective exercise or smoking cessation helped them to be a better employee. So those programs will continue to grow because now there's a bigger awareness around it. And then whether or not you care to get into reimbursable services, it's going to help the consumer so that cost is not an objection. And so the benefit of getting our standardization is that perhaps we could have a reimbursable service and people could come to our weight loss program, lose the excess weight, get healthier, and get that money back. So that's not a barrier to success. So those are the positive things that we see coming out of healthcare reform. Our organization and many others are in DC legislating for our profession so we can be prepared to take that space in wellness and be ready for the change that this brings. But it's very exciting for personal trainers and for any fitness professionals.